Well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and the President of the European Commission are speaking to the media this afternoon in Kingston. Let's listen live to some of their remarks here.
Defense and our Minister of Foreign Affairs, who all happen to be strong women leaders. That is always a pleasure to see. Every day, their expertise and dedication makes the future brighter for people on both sides of the Atlantic.
The links uniting Canada and Europe are very tight, and our solidarity continues to grow. Today, we are reinforcing even more our partnership, and we start with the support that we are giving together to Ukraine.
Forces Base Kingston to meet and thank the women and men supporting operations in Europe. This includes personnel involved in training Ukrainian security forces, Canadians in uniform who've been deployed in Poland to support Ukrainian refugees, and in Latvia to support NATO. There can be no doubt. Just as the resolve of our brave women and men in uniform is unwavering, so too is the bond between Canada and Europe. Already, Canada has provided military support to Ukraine and put in place sanctions and punitive economic measures against the Russian regime. Together, President von der Leyen and I also co-hosted an international pledging event for Ukrainians who've been forced from their homes, many of whom have become refugees. For as long as it takes, we will stand shoulder to shoulder together with our European partners for Ukraine. Today, I can announce that we are extending our engineering training as part of Operation Unifier until at least the fall, and deploying CAF medical trainers to help Ukrainian forces with combat medical skills. We're also investing $3 million for demining in Ukraine and working with the EU to deliver energy equipment to Ukraine for their power grid.
I am delighted to announce that we will be prolonging the training for fighting firefighters in the unified training till October 2023 at least. We will also be deploying medical trainers from Canadian Armed Forces to help the Ukrainian forces to acquire medical combat medicine skills. Furthermore, the EU has granted to Canada the status of partner country in the context of its export control and sanctions regimes against Russia. It will help us to reinforce our cooperation in terms of implementation of the sanctions. As I told President von der Leyen, Canada will remain in solidarity with the Ukrainian population for as long as it takes.
The President and I also talked about another shared priority, growing strong and resilient economies and creating jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. For over 6 years now, CETA has helped our businesses work together to create growth and opportunities. Later this afternoon, we'll be visiting a Canadian company that recycles lithium-ion batteries for clean tech like electric vehicles. Lysical is not only creating jobs and building up our critical mineral supply in Canada, they're opening plants in Europe too, so they can do the same there. Whether it's ways that Canada is leading, or ways the EU is leading, or ways in which we're leading together. This partnership means good jobs for our workers and resources that the world needs. So today, we're strengthening this partnership even further.
During Chancellor Scholz's visit last summer, we committed to proceed with the first exports of hydrogen towards Germany by 2025. Today, we are announcing that we move to a new step with an improved action plan on hydrogen between Canada and the European Union.
The EU Enhanced Action Plan on Hydrogen will mobilize investment, support businesses, share expertise, and get clean Canadian hydrogen to Europe. Fundamentally, it's about good middle-class jobs, economic growth, and clean energy. This is on top of work together on protecting nature and fighting climate change to deliver a strong future for our kids and grandkids. There is so much that Canada and Europe share: a commitment to the people of Ukraine, to defending democracy and international law, and to protecting human rights. Shared values like gender equality, and a commitment to growing the middle class and making sure people have good careers, they can be proud of and build their families and communities around. And a belief that we can and will build a strong, healthy future for generations to come. Canada
and Europe are friends, allies, and commercial partners. Reinforcing our links makes us build a stronger future, a more promising future for all our citizens. So, Ursula, once again, it's a great pleasure to have you with us today. Over to you.
Prime Minister, dear Justin, I've been very much looking forward to this visit. Indeed, Canada is one of the European Union's most trusted partners. We share the same vision of the world, the same democratic values. We believe in the power of cooperation, solidarity, and multilateralism. We are not only partners, we are true friends. And it is as close friends that we worked together through this last year, that we coordinated our support, for example, to the brave people of Ukraine, united in a common purpose. I know the deep and historical ties that you, Canada, have with our neighbor, Ukraine. I was deeply impressed when in April last year, many Canadian men and women went from here in Kingston, from Edmonton or from other Canadian bases all the way to Poland. They went to Europe to help the Ukrainian people who had to flee Russia's bomb. I'm also deeply impressed by the hospitality you immediately gave to Ukrainian refugees here in Canada, thousands of them. Just as we did in the European Union, we welcomed, sheltered, and protected 4 million refugees from Ukraine. We have also strongly aligned our successive packages of sanctions against Russia together with our G7 partners. Sanctions are biting deep and hard, from going after Putin's cronies and propagandists to draining the resources he needs to wage his war. For example, the very successful oil price caps that we have agreed on together. We will keep supporting Ukraine in these dark times until Ukraine prevails. We're both stepping up our support to Ukraine, including our military support, because Ukrainians have all the necessary grit and spirit, but what they need is weapons. The European Union has already delivered 12 billion euros worth of military equipment so far. In parallel, we will continue training Ukrainian soldiers like you are doing so, but you have been doing since 2015 already. And therefore, here too, our coordination with the Canadian mission and the EU military assistant mission in Ukraine and for Ukraine is excellent. Our goal is, on the European side, to train 30,000 troops by the end of the year. In addition, dear Justin, I very much welcome your intention to deliver generators to Ukraine, very much needed in these times where Putin is strategically destroying the energy infrastructure and civil infrastructure in Ukraine. And I also welcome that you're ready to join forces with us to support the demining in Ukraine. These are few examples, but it's all exemplary for the very strong alignment we have between Canada and the European Union. So, of course, it's not only for the present challenge that we are standing shoulder by shoulder, but also for the mid and long term, we will help Ukraine together to rebuild its beautiful country with the support that we gathered through our G7 donors platform. A second issue we discussed today is critical raw materials. They are the lifeblood of the clean economy. We need them to reach our ambitious decarbonization objectives. This is why, of course, the European Union's focus is very strong on the resilience of our supply chains. But we see today that, for example, China produces 98% of Europe's supplies of rare earth. And Europe needs to de-risk this dependency. And this, of course, is immediately the reason why Europe seeks to work together with trusted partners. And trusted partners is first and foremost Canada, the only country actually in the Northern Hemisphere with all the raw materials needed to produce lithium-ion batteries. You have a vast experience on mining and processing, and we know, and that is important in combination, we know the importance that you attach to labor rights, to environmental protection, and to the respect for local communities. We have started a partnership on critical raw materials in 2021. It is already bearing fruit. Now it's time to take it to the next level. Let's build on the excellent cooperation between us and our companies. For example, the Swedish Northvolt partnering with Vale Canada to ramp up supplies of low-carbon nickel used to manufacture electric vehicles. Another typical example is the Belgian Umicore that is planning to build a battery materials production plant right here in Ontario. So we will step up work with our respective industries. There is already a whole pipeline of very promising projects in exploration, mining, and processing. We will support our businesses in matchmaking. We will identify good investment opportunities, and we will also boost and accelerate the joint research that we are doing. Finally, last but certainly not least, we discussed our cooperation on climate change. We are in a very strong position to lead the way globally.
Okay, we've been listening in as the head of the European Union Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, speaks with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in Kingston as her three-day visit to Canada continues. We'll have much more on the visit and the talks as we progress throughout the next several days here on CP24. In the meantime, thanks to all of you for watching CP24 live at noon. Coming up after the break, more on the top stories of the day.
Very happy to work for the European Union to join your global carbon pricing challenge.